I was playing into the energy of other people around me. I was uncomfortable with other people's discomfort, and I was a rescuer. I thought it was my role to regulate everybody and to people please everybody. But when I would do it, I would get incredibly resentful. And so my resentment would show up with me being really short. My energy was very tense. I would slip out passive-aggressive comments. People could feel it off of me. And then that was like lighting a match and throwing it on a pile of dry sticks. And it just fueled everyone else's energy. Welcome back to the Daily Surrender, my friends. I am recently back from a 7-day vacation with my extended family. We've been doing vacations together for over 30 years. And this year there were 17 other people alongside myself, so 18 in total. Ranging from age 9 to 79. So that's 21 meals, shared bathrooms, coordination of group activities, all the things. Maybe you and your family do something similar together each year. And you know that it's beautiful chaos, right? And this year was particularly special. And it was not just special because of where we went. We've gone on some pretty epic vacations. I think Costa Rica was one of the most epic that we've ever done together as a family. This one was to Western North Carolina. So we were in the mountains for 1 week. And while the mountains were absolutely stunning, beautiful, we had great adventures, awesome hikes, gorgeous waterfalls. This vacation went better than any other, and it had nothing to do with the location. It had everything to do with our energy. So the energy that each of us brought into the vacation individually and collectively. And I can speak for myself. I've done a lot of work around the awareness of my energy and how it affects my experience and how it affects everyone else's experience. So by the end of this episode, I really want you to walk away with a very real and practical way to start paying attention to your energy and how it affects your experience in life and those around you. And P.S., in this episode, you're also going to hear how I came home with a bonus puppy, an 8-month-old little puppy. And let me tell you, if you have ever had a dog or a cat, you know how important your energy is. And this little puppy is quite the mirror for me. So hang tight and let's dive into our conversation today on energy, and energy being felt, not just something that we hear in words. All right. So as I mentioned to you, we've had in my extended family this 30 plus year tradition. The tradition started before any of us had children. I'm the oldest of 4. So my husband and I were the first to get married, and we started doing vacations together collectively. So it wasn't just me and my parents and my 3 siblings. It was the extended family as partners started to come in, and then children started to come in. And it's always been one of our most looked forward to times of the year. And it's also incredibly chaotic, and it has required a lot of energy. And at times, many times, it's been really stressful. We actually took a year off. Last year, 2 years ago, one of my sisters a couple of years back said, we're done. We're done doing these family vacations. They're too stressful. They're too chaotic. It's too energetically draining. I can't do it. And what I did, being the oldest, being someone who also was always the leader and the fixer and the regulator of everyone else, I really had to take a good long look at myself and see where my one sister who was expressing that, where was their truth for me? And where was their truth that she was speaking into in not only me individually, but our collective group together? And was it something that was worth it? So 2 years ago, we went on a family vacation without her and her family, and that I was able to see a lot more. I was able to see what she was speaking to. And at the end of the day, it wasn't the meals, the chaos with cooking meals. We had actually had that down for like 25 years, where each family would take a certain night. If there was a family that was bigger than another family, we might get 2 nights. We had that down. It wasn't that. There was an energetic component, and we didn't communicate really well. A lot of us would hold things in, and then there would be passive aggressiveness, and there was people pleasing, and there was just this really heavy, chaotic energy, and it didn't feel so good. So after our vacation 2 years ago, I said, we need a break. We need, across the board, a break from doing these family vacations. My mom would stay quiet, but my dad would really say, if everybody can't get along, we're not doing this. And you know, if you've got your parents still alive, that you're a kid. First and foremost, they still see you as a kid. So me and my siblings would like slip back into this kid-like posture, like we're little kids, like fighting with one another, and dad's upset, and we need to fix everything here and get along. And like, what does it mean to get along? We're all adults. I'm 51. And in reflecting on that, I started to really see some patterns, more patterns in my family. And these are things that I've been digging into myself through a lot of introspection. It's a lot of the work that I've done, my inner work that I've done on myself. You've heard in prior podcast episodes me talk about using MDMA in a guided journey as a very powerful tool for me to get into my subconscious mind. So I took what I walked away with 2 years ago on a family vacation into a journey. And I was really able to see how I was playing into the energy of other people around me. I was incredibly uncomfortable with other people's discomfort. And I was a rescuer. I thought it was my role to regulate everybody and to people please everybody. But when I would do it, I would get incredibly resentful. And so my resentment would show up with me being really short. My energy was very tense. I would sometimes slip out passive aggressive comments. People could feel it off of me. And then that was like lighting a match and throwing it on a pile of dry sticks. And it just fueled everyone else's energy. I've always been a bit of a leader in my family. And by that, I mean, not the leader I thought I was, where I thought it was my job to make everyone happy and to rescue everyone and to fix everyone and to make sure that, you know, again, my dad saying, make everybody happy, that was my job. That was not a healthy leader at all. But I've been a leader in change every single time that I've made a decision to make a change in myself, to do something differently. So I really went to work on managing my own energy and looking at where the tension in my body was coming from, why my throat would feel so tight when I wasn't using my voice, when I wanted to say something, but I was scared to say something. And then why was I afraid to say something? So this has been a lot of the work that I've done over the last 2 years. And in me changing, the dynamic in my family has changed. Not because I ran after anybody and told them what to do or fixed any of them, but when we change, our relationships are forced to change, whether the other person in the relationship likes it or not. So when we stop picking up what someone throws out there, like they're casting a fish hook with some bait on it, and we stop biting the fish hook and we just let them be with their stuff, their shit, right? We're not going in to rescue, give advice, because that just feeds our ego. We're just witnessing them. Or maybe we're reflecting something back at them that's helps them see some truth. We're not engaging with their energy. We're not rising as they get higher in their frustration and their anger, and then we raise in our anger too. We're staying in equanimity. So as I began to change, I started to notice my siblings change. And in witnessing me, each of them have gone and done a lot of their own deep inner work. It's been absolutely magnificent to stand witness to. Every one of my siblings has been more self-reflective, more introspective, owning their shit more than ever before, becoming more sovereign in who they are, learning to use their voice, learning to manage their energy, understanding where their stuff comes from. We were all raised by the same parents, but the thing is, when we're raised in the same family, the truth is we're not raised by exactly the same parents at all. I came first. My parents were who they were. They had never parented before, right? A year and a half later, my brother came. So that was a completely different dynamic for them. And then 4 years later, another sister came. And then 5 years after that, another sister came. They were different for each and every one of us. And there's some similar threads because they're the same human beings, right? And we each developed our own ways of being in this family dynamic. We each developed our own stories, our own constructs, and our own way of protecting ourselves. And a big thing that each of us has learned over doing a lot of introspective work over the past few years is that each of us had the same story that we're not seeing. You don't see me. Nobody sees me, right? And then we developed our own way of being seen in this family dynamic. So I'm not going to go into all the details of my family and our family dynamics and all our own constructs and stuff like that. That's not the point of this episode. The point is that in the last 2 years, it's been such a gift to witness my siblings really shift their own energy. My siblings really start to own their own journey, to own their own joy, to own their own happiness, to own their own sadness, own their own frustration, right? And in it, it has helped us all become more compassionate towards ourselves and more compassionate towards each other. It's been absolutely beautiful. So let's jump forward to this summer because we did a vacation again. And my one sister, for her own reasons, chose not to come on the vacation again. And instead of being upset about it like I was 2 years ago and trying to fix and control it and micromanage her and, oh my God, if you don't come, mom and dad are going to be upset and we're going to miss you. I completely let it go. That was her choice. I don't even need to understand her reasons. It doesn't matter. It's not my business. I was fully present to myself, my choice to be there, my family's choice to be there, and my other siblings' choice to be there. So it ended up that there were 18 of us that were going to be in this house that we had rented. And we specifically rented it because my son and his fiance were working this summer in Asheville, North Carolina. So we thought this would be a fun experience to go into the mountains of North Carolina, explore that area, and also get to know my son's fiance, have the family get to know her. And what better way to start to really get to know someone than throw them into beautiful chaos with a big group of people, right? So when we came back together after a 2-year hiatus, the difference was really tangible. It was the same people, the same chaos, technically on paper. We had the same challenges we've always had. Who's going to cook the meals? Who's going to food shop, clean up, wash the towels because, little kids throw pool towels everywhere, all the things, right? But it was a completely different experience. So it wasn't the circumstances that changed at all. It was how everyone showed up energetically. So nothing about the logistics here changed. I really want to emphasize that. We still had a large group of people. So 17 people is still 17 people. What changed was the energy that each person brought into the room. And so also, it's not like every single person there has done deep introspective work and shifted their energy in profound ways in the last 2 years. But enough of us have, and enough of us have gained awareness and really started to own our own energy that it rippled out to everyone else. When you're in the room with someone and they're just in a terrible pissy mood and maybe they're feeling really anxious or they're really upset or they're really angry and they're not even using words, but you can feel it. And if you allow it, and if you're permeable in your own energetic field, you start to feel anxious or grumpy or moody. Because there's permeability. Again, there's not a healthy boundary there for you. So it was a very positive ripple out. So I was able to really watch my siblings hold space for one another in conversation instead of like hold their breath or disappear. That was something that in the past was starting to happen more and more and more, where people didn't know how to communicate and they would just hold themselves away in their bedroom or go do an activity by themselves. And I'm not saying on big family vacations we shouldn't split up sometimes to get some quiet and peace. Like we each need to know our needs, right? Have boundaries. But I wasn't seeing people hide. I actually wasn't seeing my parents. My parents, they have funded these vacations as a gift to me and my siblings and the grandchildren for all these years. But what was starting to really happen, especially over the past 5 years, maybe 10 years, my parents would spend more and more and more time holed away in their bedroom. And on this vacation, I think my dad came in tired and bracing for the typical chaos and, quote unquote, arguing and heavy energy. And he quickly calmed down. And nobody needed to tell him to calm down. He did because he felt it. He felt like calm. He felt order. He felt us communicating with each other. He saw us laughing. He saw levity in our way of being. So my parents started hanging out with us more. They were present more. They were playing games. They even came on 2 hikes with us. I mean, to be, almost 79 years old and to go on hikes and want to come out and be with us is pretty darn impressive. So this, my friends, is truly what years and years of inner work looks like from the outside. So, we didn't come back together because we forgot that family vacations like this are hard. We came back together because we'd each done something with the hard. Each and every one of us have been tackling really hard things within ourself and maybe within our most intimate relationships, right, in life. And so our family vacation in this large group was this forum to put it to practice. It was awesome. It was awesome. So I want to touch on me specifically because I can only really speak for myself and what has shifted in me specifically in the past few years. So I have very intentionally been working on unmeshing myself from other people's emotions, not taking on what is not mine. Oh my goodness. I cannot even emphasize to you what an energetic drain it was that I didn't know existed, having spent the majority of my life enmeshed with everyone around me. When they felt uncomfortable, I felt uncomfortable. I'm a highly sensitive person. That is actually one of my superpowers. I work with a lot of highly sensitive people in my coaching practice, and they struggle with very similar dynamics and problems because us highly sensitives do not always know how to lean into the gift of it instead of the shadow side. So when we're energetically very sensitive and we can pick up on the mood of others, we can feel their energy, right? Not everyone is as hyper attuned. And the challenge with that is that we can become really permeable in our energetic fields. And if you've got deeper stories, deeper programming that has you thinking that it's your job to regulate everyone else around you, to make everybody else around you happy so that you feel safe or you feel valuable or it feeds your ego, whatever the reason is, that has you taking in other people's shit. And it becomes such dense energy within us. It can show up metaphysically in all kinds of physical symptoms, which is often why people will come to me and we take a look at the physiology, and there's no amount of supplementation or dietary changes that's going to clean that up. We have to take a look at why is that happening and what is that dynamic. So for me, I have become really, really clear on why I did it. Not so that I can be a victim to my circumstances and why I took on what I took on, but so I can become crystal clear of that dynamic in myself so I can change it. So I can feel very empowered to be able to change because that's not actually my true identity. That was just programming. That was me picking up what I thought I had to pick up for whatever reason. Sometimes it's not even like someone gives it to us. Like my parents never said to me, Jen, you're in charge of everyone else's emotions. You are to make sure your siblings are happy at all times. That was never given to me directly. I interpreted that through a variety of circumstances and things that I picked up and behavior. I mean, it's part of being a very sensitive, very intuitive, very observant human being. Again, blessing, right? It makes me a fantastic coach. And again, it had its shadow side in me. So what I have really come to learn how to do personally, which has helped me professionally so much, is to be really present for someone who perhaps is swirling in something, who's struggling with something, without becoming a rescuer. I've really become an excellent witness. There's such power in witnessing someone else, but not taking on what isn't mine to take on. I have really come to know my own boundary. I've come to know when it's time to step away, when it's time to get quiet and regroup. So on this family vacation, and I'm using the vacation really as an example, like as a backdrop to what I'm sharing with you today and teaching you. So on this family vacation, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like my one sister has her 3 younger kids are 9 and there's 11-year-old twins. And they're loud and they're children and they're running around. And my own midlife nervous system needs a little more quiet than that. I was very tolerant to it because I went in not expecting quiet 24/7. That's ridiculous. I went in knowing what I was going into. In my everyday life, I actually require a lot of quiet and alone time. When I go on a family vacation with 17 other people, I am well aware that I'm not going to have quiet time. That's not the type of vacation it is. So I set my expectations really well. I knew there wasn't going to be a lot of quiet alone time, but let me tell you, when I felt like I was maxed out, I stepped away. There were hammocks on the property, and I would go lay in a hammock. When one of the kids would come over to me, if I really needed quiet time, I kindly and lovingly asked them to leave Aunt Jen alone for a period of time. Just a little bit. Give me half an hour. Then I'll come swim in the pool with you. And it worked because I was sharing with kindness, love, and respect what I needed. I put up the boundary. If I needed to go up to my bedroom and just take a shower by myself, there was even one time my husband walked in and I looked at him and he knew. He just knows me really well and he could read energy really well. I said, honey, I need to be alone. And he's like, okay, no problem. And he just walked out. I mean, even just him being in there, I said, I just need to be alone. I need 15 minutes. I need to regroup, right? So that was incredibly helpful. A couple times on the group activities, we split up as families. Not because I didn't want to be with my family. The vacation, the whole point of the vacation is to spend time together, but 24/7 time together is a lot, right? So it was really nice to go for a hike one day with just my brother and my husband. Everybody kind of broke off and did their own thing instead of everybody having to do the same activity. I let it be okay that the young adults wanted to go off and go thrifting and antique shopping, and that my one sister and her family, her kids, they wanted to go back to DuPont State Park and hike the waterfalls and go swimming. That was great. They needed that. Those kids needed that. The 3 of us needed some adult time. It was awesome. It was great. And what it did is it refreshed me. It replenished me so that I can show back up at dinner and we could have the beautifully chaotic dinner and we could play games at night. Like I didn't have expectations that I was going to read a whole novel by myself on the hammock. Why? Why would I set myself up for that? So knowing my own boundaries, knowing when to step away was really, really pivotal. And taking that space without apologizing for it was also really important for me. This really here is the heart of the episode. Like, I want you to hear how important it is to understand your own patterning and your own energy and what causes you to get in a tense energetic state or feeling very congested. You have to understand yourself first to then be able to create a shift in your energy. So for me, I used to think that love meant absorbing whatever someone else was feeling. Like, I thought that was the loving thing to do. I thought it was my job. I thought it was a gift to other people. And now I know that love can witness without swallowing. I was not doing anyone any favors in my life by doing that. First of all, I was getting in the way of their own experience, their own journey. I'm trying to take what's not mine. They need to feel all of it. It's theirs. If people don't feel all their own pain, then their pain's not going to get great enough for them to do anything with it, right? So when we absorb from someone else, we're just delaying their own progress. And then I'm taking this on, and what do I feel like energetically to them? Stressed, tense, tired, fatigued, snappy, passive-aggressive. Who wants to be around that? Controlling, that was definitely, I would say, something that my siblings, my parents, my husband, my children would have described to me as in the past. It's like, oh, Jen is so controlling. Oh, she is so wired. She is tightly wound up. That doesn't make people want to go on a vacation with me. It doesn't make them want to be in a relationship with me. It doesn't make them want to confide in me. So I think a lot about Jesus and his role model for us. And Jesus withdrew to a quiet place to pray. You see that in the Gospels. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask permission. He just stepped away. He went away from the crowds that were needing him. He knew that his time was limited too, but he didn't worry about that because he knew that if he was in a space of really regulated presence, that was going to be the most powerful way he could be while he was walking this earth. So he needed to step away to regroup, to recenter, to fill his cup back up, and he did it without apology. So you get to do the exact same thing. Holding space for someone else is not the same as holding it for them. And Jesus modeled that too. He didn't take away people's problems. He held space for their problems, right? He was very, very present. And he knew his own boundaries, and he did what he needed to do so that he could show up being able to fully embody Christ. And our invitation is to fully embody Christ. It's the embodiment of the Christos energy, which is Christ's consciousness. Because where do we do it? We do it in our consciousness. So the more aware we are, going back to being aware of our own patterning, of why our energy gets dense and heavy and tense. Like, are we taking on things that aren't ours? Are we people pleasing? Are we enmeshing ourselves? That in our awareness, when we can clear that, then we can elevate our consciousness into the state of Christ, right? That's the real invitation. So for me, I am not the rescuer. I was never meant to rescue anyone. I had a savior complex, and there's already a savior, right? And it is not me. It's not me. I am not God. But I sure played God plenty of times in my life. And it's not like I never slip into this, but I feel it today in my body. The more aware you become of your energy, the more aware of what it feels like in your body. And sometimes it's your throat or your stomach or your tight shoulders that are going to signal you, hey, you are crossing a line. You're rescuing again. You're playing savior again. So I've really come to also learn that boundaries in my life are not walls. They're not there to be armor. I had a lot of armor too. I took down the armor and I put up boundaries. And boundaries are flexible and fluid too. They're the door frame that really lets love move through us cleanly instead of leaking out all over the place, right? So many of my clients will come to me with their top 3 things they want to shift, or their top 3 complaints are fatigue. One of them is always fatigue. Almost always fatigue. And what I'm sharing with you here right now is one of the biggest drivers of their fatigue. Yeah, they might have some food sensitivity. Sure, they might need to be hydrated on a cellular level, or they need some minerals to support, function in the body. Okay, but let me tell you, again, you cannot consume enough electrolytes and sea salts and vitamins and minerals to override the dynamic that I'm talking to you about today. So, little plot twist. We came home from this vacation and we knew that it was going to happen with a puppy. So my son and his fiance had adopted a beautiful, sweet little puppy months prior, and they fell in love with her and they gave her the best life that they possibly could. And then they made an incredibly loving decision. So without going into more details on that, because that's personal to them, we had offered and agreed to adopt her. Now we have an 11-year-old dog. We were very, very, very intentional when we adopted our 11-year-old dog, because it was our first family dog with the children, and the children were younger. But we waited until I felt it was really me, because I was like in charge of the majority of the parenting around here, the everyday stuff. I'm not saying my husband wasn't a parent, but that the children were going to be of an age where I felt like I could handle a puppy and 3 kids. So we adopted her 11 years ago, and we studied how to pick the perfect puppy. We followed Cesar Millan and how to get the calm, submissive dog and all the things. And we did puppy classes. And so that was my life 11 years ago. She is the easiest dog I think that pretty much exists. Other than like some normal puppy stuff the first year, Luna has been so easy. She is the definition of calm, submissive, very low energy dog for being like a 55-pound rescue lab mix. And I've really come to see Luna as being an energetic regulator of this home. Her presence in and of itself is so calm, it's regulating. And she's been a regulator for each and every person in this family. So that was what we were used to. Like, we could leave her and just have a dog sitter come a couple times to walk her. Like, life was really darn easy with her. And we got this new addition of this 8-month-old puppy, and her name is Oakley. She is a big personality. She's adorable. She is so sweet. She's such a lover, and she is high energy. Now, she's a rescue. And we know with rescues, if you're listening to this, if you've ever rescued a dog, we don't know what happened to them before they landed in the rescue or before they ended up being ours. And like my older dog, something happened. I don't know. She's still to this day terrified of wheels. Any bikes or baby strollers, she like refuses to walk. So Oakley's got some of her own stuff, and one of them is a bit of an anxious attachment. So we're working through that, and she is hyper attuned. Most puppies are, but this dog, I mean, she is tenfold my other dog. She can hear a squirrel like 6 houses down, and she'll start barking, and every sound, every smell, she is hyper attuned to, and she is really, really, really hyper attuned to my energy. So we come home from this vacation, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have a puppy, and we're introducing her to our 11-year-old dog, who's been an angel. And I'm tired. It's all the things, right? There's a little bit of overwhelm, a slight amount of anxiety here. Like, what are we doing? Right. And the first 2 days, it took us a beat to realize, well, we got to really manage our energy. I have to manage my energy more than ever with this dog, because she is hyper attuned to me. If I'm anxious, she's anxious. If I'm frustrated and not letting that move through me and saying it out loud, she knows it. She's jumpy. She's barky. She cannot settle. And if she can't settle and I start yelling, that just fuels it. Oh my goodness, does it fuel it? So we revisited some old Cesar Millan. And if you know Cesar Millan, he's the dog whisperer. And Well, I don't agree with every single one of his teachings on raising dogs. The one thing that really, really, really deeply resonates with me is how he talks about energy. And he actually says, learn to master your energy with a dog, and you learn to master your energy with every single living being in your life. And he has historically rehabbed all kinds of dogs with all kinds of behavioral issues and aggression and stuff like that. And he's done it with energy. So there's this idea that energy is communication before words, and that we are here to respect the spirit of a being first. And in a way, because what we're doing is we're respecting the creation of the creator. So when we respect the spirit of another being, so whether that's a person or an animal, we're respecting the creator. So we're dropping into actually the respect of the creator energy. So when we are in that, we believe that the spirit of all living beings is good because the creator is good. So get that in your mind first and foremost. And then all the other stuff that you see, that's the gunk and junk, right? So for Oakley, our new puppy, she's just got to get trained. She needs a rhythm and a routine. Her nervous system is still a little bit on high alert. She's getting used to a new family. She's getting used to having an 11-year-old dog here who doesn't want to play with her. She's getting used to us. She's getting used to the smells, right? And so respecting that the spirit of her is good. And the more that we manage our energy, the more that I manage my energy, and my husband, my daughters who are here, the calmer that she is, the more she feels confident. So when I'm calm and confident, she settles. It's incredible. We've had her now, this is day 9 that we've had her, and in this house. And it's a vastly different experience from day 1. I was actually a week ago trying to record a podcast and I couldn't because there was constant barking in, out, in, out, in, out. During this podcast, she did one little check-in just to see where I was and then didn't want to stay here and she left. So she doesn't understand a single word I say. She understands everything I am in that moment. So Cesar Millan, he was recently on Andrew Huberman's podcast, and he said on the podcast that the energy is the first language every living thing speaks. Words came later for us, not for her, right? So energy, everything is energy. That's how this universe was created, from energy. And where's the energy coming from? The energy is coming from the creator, right? Creator God. And when we respect the spirit of a being before we're trying to manage its behavior, we're actually honoring the same spirit that breathes life into it. And this really is not just dog training. I'm bringing in the story of Oakley and the puppy that we have because she's just been a reminder for me. She's been a mirror for me. That's scripture living in a little rescue puppy right there for me. Like she is an example for me. And she's been an amazing mirror. So every skittish bark of hers has just been asking me, what am I not saying out loud right now that she can feel in me, right? It's pretty darn powerful. So I am really using this experience with this dog as a, what is this for? Like, all right, God, you brought her in. That's very much why my husband and I were very open to adopting her, because we're trusting that she's been brought into our life for many reasons. And it has been glaringly in my face that managing my own energy and taking a look at the stuff in me, like where am I still people pleasing? Where am I still enmeshed? Where do I still get anxious when somebody else is uncomfortable, right? Watching the 2 dogs, like my older dog won't really bark, but Oakley will bark at her. She started with a little jealousy. She gets frustrated that she won't play with her, so she'll just bark, nip. And if I get like fearful, anxious, worried, stop it. Oh, it is bad. But if I'm really calm and confident and solid and I just use my energy and I say, settle, she does. It's wild. It's awesome. So I want to help you to walk away from this conversation here today, as I always do, with something practical that you can start to really apply to your own life. I am running a program this summer called the Summer Self-Reclamation, and it's beautiful. It's this beautiful container. We're walking through 6 themes each week that bring more awareness to the women in the group as to their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own patterns of behaving. And we're on week 4 right now. We walked through waking up, noticing what we're noticing, feeling, and now we're using experiences to really amplify what's inside of us and what can be activated inside of us. So I taught them, we want to really get clear on noticing what we're noticing about our own behavior, our own thought patterns. But in regard to what we're talking about here, it's notice when you're absorbing instead of witnessing. When are you, where are you taking on? I can feel it in myself when I'm permeable. I actually start to feel it come into me. So even when, for instance, like one of my best friends, you've heard about her on the podcast, Carmen. She lost her mother to a tragic accident months ago, and she'll have waves of intense grief. And I'm deeply compassionate and empathetic. I get it, and I understand grief. I don't know what it is to have my mother get hit by a car, but I understand grief. So I can be very empathetic in witnessing her, but I have caught myself a few times absorbing, where I'm actually starting to feel it in my own body, and that doesn't serve her, and that doesn't serve me. So we want to really get clear on when we're absorbing instead of just witnessing. We can just witness. Witness with compassion. You can witness with a lot of love, but don't take it on. Don't take on what's not yours. When you feel your energy get really tangled up with someone else's, that is your cue to pause, not to push through, not to hang with the conversation. Maybe you need to take a break. Maybe you need to step away, regroup, breathe, shake your body, put up. I've said this to one of my clients recently. Put yourself in one of those glass ball jars, and as if you're just like inside of it, so you can still witness, you can hear, you can see, right? But you're not permeable. So use that as a visual. Years ago in my coaching, I worked with a mentor, not Molly, a different mentor. She was an amazing mentor and teacher for me in the art of coaching. And she taught me to put myself in a ball glass jar while I'm coaching, because being a highly sensitive, very empathetic person, I would find myself crying with my clients. I would find myself feeling the weight of what they're sharing in my own chest. And that is not healthy and helpful for anyone, not for them and not for me. And I would get really, really, really exhausted after a day of coaching. So I had to learn how to get really good at it or step away from this career. So concrete things that you can do, like when you're like, whew, I need to clear some energy, step outside. Maybe step outside barefoot. Use breath. I love 4-4-7 breathing. So in for 4, hold for 4, slowly out for 7. Move your body, dance, wiggle, shake. Whatever discharges the stuck energy for you, go do it. Remind yourself that you preserving your own energy is not selfish. You letting someone else have their own stuff is not selfish. Regulating yourself is a gift that you give to everyone around you, not just yourself. Because when you can remain in equanimity, when you can remain calm and confident, you are a blessing to be around. You are a lighthouse. But when you're anxious, drained, tired, overwhelmed, you are not a blessing to be around. So ask yourself, right in the moment, is this feeling that I have mine, or did I just pick it up off someone else? If you can identify that you picked it up off someone else, that's a cue for you to go clear it, give it back, get it out. Don't walk around with that. You are allowed to leave the room to regroup. Give yourself permission for that. That is not abandonment. That right there is stewardship of your own energy. So go outside, do the things, breathe, dance in your kitchen, shake, whatever you have to do. When you regulate yourself, remind yourself again, you are not selfish. You are literally changing the energy in the room for everyone else. It's a blessing. So your nervous system is not separate from your spirit. Taking care of one is taking care of the other. That is good stewardship, my friends. That is good stewardship. So if you're listening to this and you're becoming more aware of some of your own patterns and maybe you need help or guidance with them, reach out. That's what I do. That is what I am here for. So I have various ways that I work with people in coaching containers or containers where we do a freedom journey using MDMA. If you really want to get into your constructs and understand where does this stuff come from, because you could hear me and it makes a lot of logical sense, but you just can't shift out of the patterning. That might be your invitation to do your own deep inner work. Because let me tell you, it pays off in dividends. The family vacation that I just had was beautiful and was such a gift. It was a much more beautiful, greater gift than it would have ever been if I hadn't done my own deep inner work, and my siblings as well. Truly, truly, it's going to pay off in every area of your life. So here's what I want to close with. And I want you to sit with this week. Where is your energy speaking before your words do? Where are you absorbing something that was never yours to carry? You don't need the perfect language for anything, truly. You just need to notice and then choose differently. So notice your energy and just choose to shift it. When I tell you, it has transformed even my work as a coach. I used to obsess over needing to know all the things and say the right things. And what if I said them wrong? I don't worry about that anymore. My biggest concern is my energy. My biggest concern is, am I calm and confident and well-grounded? And am I standing as a witness? I'm not here to fix anyone. It is enough that I can see the possibilities available for them, but I'm not attached to their outcome. That is really, really important. So if this episode met you somewhere today, I would be so grateful if you were to hit subscribe or follow or leave a comment wherever you are listening. Truly, that means the world to me. That helps me get this message out to more people. That's the way these podcasts work with the algorithm. So please support my work for yourself and for others by liking, subscribing, leaving a comment. It means, again, the world to me, and share it with someone else. If there's someone else in your life that you've just got this intuitive hit that they need to hear it, share it. This is how this work reaches the people who need it the most. So thank you so much for being here with me. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me on the Daily Surrender. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear your reflections. Send me a message, share this with a friend, or leave a review. Or remember, true healing and freedom come when we let go, surrender, and trust that God's way is so much better than our way. Until next time, my friends, keep surrendering, keep rising, and keep walking in peace.